Welcome to the CEO Bros Podcast, After Hours, with Brian Baldoff, co-founded, grew, and sold VHT Studios. Brad Baldoff, CEO and co-founder of By Your Side Autism Therapy Services. Matt Crope, the consummate entertainer, jack of all trades, and serves as our host.
Assistant manager of Cat Boys, right? I remember.
Come on, no. My favorite memory of working at Kmart was I worked on the garden shop. I would occasionally take the forklift away. Like I would
out drive-throughs. He's with McDonald's with the forklift.
I was
You were the poster child on why it was good that we didn't have cell phones back in the day.
Yeah.
You are the poster child.
I had a beeper though.
That would constantly go off. Where the hell are you?
I had a beeper. I had a girlfriend that lived about a mile from Kmart. And I would just take the forklift, and now the cool thing was
pick her up.
She was on the second floor apartment, so I would take the forklift. I'd make a left out of the back parking lot. I'd make a couple rights, and then I would I'd go literally
like he's talking about how he just would.
Yeah, no. Right. So I would take the forklift, go about a half mile.
Yeah, of course.
And she was
As
on
one does.
That's right.
She was on the second floor, and I'd raise the forks all the way up, and then I'd climb up the forks and I'd knock on her window because she had strict parents.
I would frown upon a forklift outside.
What's the cartoon or with the where you throw your hair to let your hair down? Rapunzel.
Yeah.
I'd be like knocking on her window like, "Hey, I'm here," and she's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, that doesn't scare the hell out of you. You're on the second floor bedroom and 2 a.m. somebody's knocking on your window.
Well, it wasn't 2 a.m., bro. It was in the middle of the day.
Yeah, come on, Brian. Don't make it. It's not a crazy story.
But what's funny though, no, guys, what's funny is during the day, my pager.
There's no brights on a forklift. Yeah, it's day driving.
Back in the day,
have you ever driven a forklift on the road?
Day driving.
Okay. Back in the day, I had my pager. My pager would go off.
What is a pager?
It's a beeper. My beeper would go off, and I'd call the store, and they'd say. And it used to be like, where's the forklift key? It was, where's the forklift?
Where's the forklift?
And I said, why would you guys think I would have the forklift? And because somebody said you left with it.
We saw you
That's
driving.
Kind of hard. That's kind of hard. It's not like snuggling something under your coat. Taking that would kind of, and you would get a call.
Top speed.
At the house.
You get top speed, 9 miles an hour on that, or 10 miles an hour on the forklift.
So you get a call at the house.
They would call the house and say, where's your brother? Like, how do I know?
Yeah.
And then they went, why? Why would they? Because.
Oh, yeah. Why? Well, because he's got the forklift or he's got the key.
Yeah. I usually had the key with me, but this time I took the forklift. Multiple times I took it, but they got pissed.
Well, I love these personal stories. And actually, welcome to CEO Bros, podcast after hours. Welcome, everyone.
Matt, good to see that your face is doing better. A little better. Matt got attacked by his Matt got attacked by his pet squirrel.
Again.
Yes. It keeps attacking his pet squirrel. Man, you got to be careful with that.
Squirrels are, they don't like to be held.
Domesticated.
He's out trying to feed him.
I don't know where this is going.
Peanuts.
All right. Fascinated with today's topic because the topic's going to be...
Yes, go on.
Topic's going to be satisfaction versus sacrifice. And when we were doing our pre-meeting, and when I saw the topic, I actually went, oh, this is going to be interesting. And right before we started filming, Brad, you went, this is going to be something. Sharing personal stories, getting into, the why of all of it. I think this is going to be a really great insight.
Oh, you were setting a high bar.
I'm telling you.
Don't say that. I don't know if I'd say that.
I'm telling you. I saw
All right, let's
the
give
topic.
it a try. Come on.
Let's jump into it.
Best show ever.
Let's jump into it. Satisfaction.
Is this what podcast is this?
Number 9.
All right, so number 9. It's going to be our best yet.
Best
number
yet.
9.
It's why are you doing what you're doing in business?
And what are you giving up?
And what do you give it up?
Yeah.
What's the satisfaction that you're receiving from all of it versus the sacrifices?
But I'm not wrong, and this is less maybe business tips, more personal insights.
What you should expect.
Yeah. How the business impacts your personal life.
I'm going to sit back. I'm fascinated.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, let's just talk time, that there is really you're not on a set schedule when you're running your own business or starting your own business, that the days of 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or some kind of set schedule is literally out the window, because you're going to do whatever you need to. If you've heard us say all in, you have to commit or be prepared to commit whatever time it takes, because somebody may call you on a weekend, a weeknight, late, very early, that could have a big impact on the business. And too bad. I mean, that's the time, and you just have to do it. Right?
Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of people, we'll talk about reasons people start a business. One is I want more control over my schedule. That's a misnomer, because, you have this false illusion of having control over your schedule. And maybe you can say, hey, I don't want to do meetings before 10 a.m., but the business, it goes all the time. And so there's the physical on your time. And then for me, a big one was the mental. I didn't realize the kind of mental toll. Like, you never get away from it. Like, yeah, there's weekends and maybe I'm not actually doing any work, but I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it 24/7. You try to take a vacation with the family. You're thinking about it. It's in the back of your head. Oh, payroll's on Friday. Oh, we got a holiday. Oh, this customer needs this contract. It just doesn't go away. And
so I mean, that's a really good point, is that I just thought through the years, I hear people taking a long vacation or this vacation, whatever. I'm not, and I don't fault people for taking long vacations. I'm not saying that. I personally am taking the longest vacation I've ever taken coming up in a couple of months. The family's going to Italy for a week. A week.
Did you tell the CEO Bros staff that you're not going to?
Yeah, I didn't. It's just not.
Like, wait a
Go
minute.
back to our communication.
I
episode.
submitted my form into HR.
Amber, did you get the form
approved?
Amber's not HR. Amber's like, I have nothing to do with HR.
I've never seen this itinerary.
Who are we going to get to take his place, Matt?
I don't know.
A far better looking guy and a guy that knows a lot more than I do. That's for sure. No, but
congratulations. So a week.
And so I bring it up because over the course of all the businesses I've started, ran, and obviously running by your side, that's I'm looking forward to going to Europe, but I'm also like, I get unsettled being away that long, because there's just stuff you worry about. There's things that are going on. It doesn't mean I won't be calling in. But that's the point. What I think Brian's making is like, I'll be calling in, I'll be checking email, I'll be doing my, my normal thing, because
you're used to making a lot of decisions on a daily basis. And it's hard to just shut that off. Even if you have a great team and they take that on for you, it's like you're just used to it. Like I took a vacation recently, and it takes me 2 to 3 days just to simply unwind and relax and do nothing.
And you also think that submarines off the coast is a normal thing, Brian, we were very concerned about. Brian, he actually sent me a couple pictures. He was sitting on the coast, or the beach of Florida.
Hollywood Beach in
Florida. And he sends me a couple pictures of a submarine that is just off the coast by about, 50, not even 500,000 feet. I don't know how far out it was.
It looked like
close.
You could row a boat out to it.
Quarter mile out,
maybe
maybe quarter mile out or something. But I'm like, and Brian's like, hey, cool, check these subs out. I'm like, hey, I don't think that's really cool. I think it's very unsettling.
And I saw the same photos, and I'm like, is it grounded? And the guy's like, little help here, and you're all pushing the submarine like a whale,
like a
out
beached
to the
whale.
sea.
I was more like, how do we know that's ours? With everything else going on,
You
like,
want to investigate that, Brian? And he's like, yeah.
But
I'm on vacation.
but the point is, you're on vacation and you're still thinking about work, or you still think about things I gotta get done, or things. Yes, I have a fantastic team. I got a great senior leadership team. I've got people. We have processes. We have structure. The business is going to run. Business is going to do fine. But you're wired differently. So you're like, I can't be away long, because there will be decisions that will be made that you're like, okay, in the best interest of the business, I want it to go well.
How do you know when it's needed, though, and when you think, no, I could really pull back? I mean, you must be justifying, or let me ask you, are you justifying all the time, no, I need to be plugged in, or are you going, no, you can just unplug? I mean,
well, it's easy to say unplug. It's just hard. It doesn't happen. Like Brad said, it's
because
wired.
You think it's needed, or you're just your mindset. You can't let go.
You can't let go. Yeah, because I don't. If you're over the top, your team's going to think, okay, he doesn't trust us, like, to make these decisions. They're the first ones to tell you, Don't answer your emails.
Yeah.
Don't answer your phone calls. But you're wired. You just, since you do that every day and you're so concerned, like it's hard to just not do it. It's hard to not just peek and then go, oh shit, I could solve this problem in 5 minutes. It's going to take them an hour.
I will say, by the only time, I mean, Brian's been ran a business for a very long time, very successful business. The only time that Brian wasn't wired in when he was sitting at a 10-hour blackjack bendo. That's when
blackjack does take my mind off of business.
You can't get a hold of Brian at any moment. There could be a we talked about disasters in the last one. There could be a disaster, but if Brian's on a run at blackjack, he isn't.
Wait, that's interesting. So that unplugs.
You do look for things that help. Yeah. Okay, what can I do? Because like when we first started our company, it was, 10-hour days, it's hard to shut it. It's hard to even go home at the end of the day because there's always something to do. You force yourself to go home on Friday, you're late. Saturday morning, you wake up and you're like, okay, I got to recap everything that happened this week, plan for next week. And then I would spend Sunday night putting together an email for the team and kind of summarize, hey, here's what happened last week. Here's what we're planning on doing next week. And so, I had about, 8 hours of family time, Saturday night, Sunday morning. But you're still thinking about it, even though you're not responding to emails or working through presentations, your mind is just going like, oh, we could do this, or we could do that, or why did we do this? And that's the part to me that's very hard to shut off. Once you're into it, like, we've said, all in.
Yeah, I see. So I think that's where that gets lost in the shuffle. All in. All in doesn't mean like you're working 8 a.m. and like, okay, people are normally off of the clock at 5, 6 o'clock, whatever the time is. It's like, and you're going to work an extra hour or two. You're all in, your head and mind psychologically. You're in all the time. You're breathing, thinking, sleeping your business because A, you're not going to let it fail. B, you want it to grow. You want it to grow into something beautiful, huge, great, successful. And you wanted to get there.
And you have multiple businesses. So how do you separate your brain power on that?
That's a good question. I've wondered that.
So I mean, that kind of goes with then the sacrifice. If you are prepared to go all in and you want this satisfaction of something, accomplishing something and being successful at something, you also are going to have to make sacrifices. In order for me to do certain other businesses, i.e. CEO Bros. I have a real estate business, a real estate investment business. I still will try to, I have the Blue Parachute, working on trying to grow that. By Your Side is still growing and we want to grow. So the more you're wired, the more you recognize that you have to make sacrifices, that something's going to get compromised in the process. And that's the balance that you have to figure out is how much can you take of going too far.
I would say, just from being Brad's brother, he can compartmentalize things better than anybody I know.
Really?
Like, I'm working on this right now, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this. Whereas, I could never go, like, the thing that always amazed me is you'd go on a business trip and he'd play, do a business meeting, play a round of golf, do a business meeting, have a dinner, do another business meeting. It's like, there's no way I could do that kind of schedule. And it might be 2 different businesses in the same day. You got to really have a mental focus to be able to separate multiple priorities and businesses, I think.
This might be too much of a stretch. You're a drummer. I
That
can
too.
never
Otherwise
do
civilized,
the
don't
foot and the hand. Like, is your brain just wired that, like, that's hard drumming? I can't get that. And you can. Is that part of your brain? Your brain just worked that way? Like, you can separate different emotions and different.
I think the drumming goes back to what Brian was talking about with, we're always looking for things that you can absolutely clear your head of everything.
And that's
when I'm playing the drums, when I'm golfing, which I don't do often. I don't play the drums very often. I don't golf very often. When I gamble, not very often.
To be clear, though, it's not, you're just in a basement. You're a good drummer. I'm not saying but you are.
Well, I've played a long time. Right. I don't know if I'm a good drummer. I just say I've played a very long time.
Semi-pro, yeah. I mean, we play a lot.
We're in a band. We're in a band. We play. But I do those things because I absolutely need to clear my head of everything. Because it's like when you're playing drums and we're into the band, there's nothing else going on. It's just like, okay, we got to get the songs down. We got to enjoy this, get into the feel of the beat and the rhythm and just everything about it is just so cool. Like you're just lost. That's what it is. You're lost. That's what I like.
That. See, I could see it with drums. Golf business has destroyed my golf game.
Take it easy. I tried.
Because I could not keep business out when I'm playing golf.
There's a few things beyond
I mean, okay, my putting is pretty
game,
bad, and
It's not that you don't keep your head down. That has nothing to do with it.
No.
I don't know how you keep business. I
By
mean,
the way,
I've tried for years.
We did
but-
3 movies last week. Will you please watch Whiplash?
That's the drum movie.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Amber Whiplash?
Yes.
She's
Good.
nodding.
You like that movie?
Yes.
Yes. Whiplash?
I haven't seen it yet. I'll put it on my list.
It's a movie about a drummer.
Oh,
right?
all right.
Drummer. Yeah, it's a great. Anyway. So your golf game has suffered because of business.
Yeah, a lot of things have suffered. There's a lot of ripple effects from
The sacrifice.
like what?
sacrifices from the mental side of things, which like the biggest one I can think of that people don't realize is
Well, your health.
I was
That's
going to say,
pretty big.
yeah, health is good.
I mean,
I was
I'll
going to
talk about
say
my health, what's happened.
family was going to be the first one because you could be sitting at a family dinner and everybody's talking and they don't realize that your head is like
Yeah.
on accounts receivable, or a contract that you're working on because you can't help it. But
Or crushing news you just got about a customer, like you say, your customer goes BK,
customer right.
or a key employee of yours just quit, or you had to terminate somebody, and now you're like, I've got to actually think through how I'm going to handle that. And it's not just, well, the day's over at 6:00, so I'm just
I'm
done.
just going to shut it off and turn it off and go
It
to
keeps
this
going.
birthday party.
And you internalize it at home.
Yeah, I mean,
probably
my
do,
family
yeah.
makes fun of me. I say I have a sound bubble where I can't put my sound bubble on. I can't hear anything, but it's usually because my head is something else about the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you miss a lot of things, and I think it impacts family the most. So to Brad's point, it's not that I'm working. I mean, you'll get complaints about that, like, "Hey, it's Saturday. Stop sending emails." It's like, okay, I can stop sending emails, but I can't stop thinking about
the email I have to.
The email that I'm not sending.
So why don't I just get that email out of the
What
way?
if I just send it? Will be better? I mean, that's the truth.
Look,
though.
I'm thinking on it. Let me just get it on paper and be done. Or on email.
And then after that email, I've got to get this email.
Then I've got these 6 texts from Brad that if I don't respond to, he's
Which
gonna
we
be,
talked about. I talk in text, he talks in email.
Yep.
I mean, Amber, you know that. Matt knows
Yep.
that. Now, if we want to get a hold of Brian, don't send a text to him. Send an
Send an
email to him.
Yeah,
we
no,
are
that's
we
pretty
are
cool.
figuring that out in this little business.
As
here.
we
That
communicate.
communication.
Yeah. It's the sacrifices he's talking about.
Health for you.
Well, I mean, family, health. I mean, my family has had to put up with when you are doing a company the size of By Your Side and growing it, and you're doing a podcast and you're playing in a band and you own a real estate investment business, and that, okay, his time is not there. His focus.
What are your priorities? What's
What's important? And so, I'd like to think that I'm still a good father and husband, but I would also say that there's probably been what Brian's saying is that your focus gets pulled in so many different directions that you're like, are you all there? I'm sure Jen would say to me, like, you are not freaking
You're not
here right now.
You're here
Yeah.
physically.
And I feel bad. I mean, I like to, like Brian was saying about compartmentalizing. I feel like, okay, I have to give, like, if I'm going to go, out to dinner, go on a date, you're going to go do something. It's like, okay, I gotta focus all here, even though there's a gazillion things going on in my head that I got to worry about. This is it, And then obviously I'll go out to dinner and I'll talk about work. So
Brad will be like, okay, kids, I have got a fun activity for us today. I'm going to be totally focused. We're we're going to go look at some real estate that I'm thinking of buying.
We're gonna break down a P&L, and we're gonna take line item by line item.
You are going to love
What
this.
expenses could we run
All
out
right,
of this business?
You're 9. What would you do if your rates were cut? Let's just brainstorm as a family.
I also think that some of that is rubbed off on my family a little bit. Like, couldn't be more proud of my kids, but my daughter's old enough now where she started her own business. Shop Melzy, for those of you that want to see, she sells logoed apparel to universities. It's really a cool business. I'm so proud of her. But I think those conversations through the years have kind of rubbed off. Like you hear it, you're around it, you're talking about it. But I think Brian hits it on the head, is that you're going to give up something, and either it's going to be time to yourself.
Yeah.
Like just I want to just veg out and just be myself, or just chill. You're going to give up time. You're going to give up relationships. And the reason I think Brian and I are bringing this up is because we just want everybody to be like eyes wide open going into it. It's going to happen. And it's like, if you care and you really want your business to be successful, if you want to be good at anything, you're going to have to go all out after it. I think you can't half-ass it and expect that you're going to be.
Because although
phenomenal.
it could be, say, common sense, it surprised you a little bit.
Well, it does, especially when you look back, now I've been through it. One of the things I realized now is I really lost touch with a lot of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily I'm a guy, so, could be 3 years since I've seen somebody, and we just pick right up where we left off. So that's good. But now that I'm on the tail end and slowing down, I'm starting to pick that stuff up again. Just emailing, calling people, checking up and see what they're doing in LinkedIn. That all went. Didn't have any time for that. When it came to priorities, it was like, wow, that's a luxury at this point to have friends. My only friends were people I worked with, or people in the business that you spend a lot of time with.
Is he asking me to be his friend? This is so awkward right now.
We
What
might
is happening?
become friends, Matt. If
what is happening right
depending
now?
on how
By the way,
successful this business is.
Did you hear him say email and call? Does he really not like to text? Those are the two examples.
It's tough to get a text from him. I will admit it's tough to get a text from Brian. If you can get one, good luck to you. Best of luck to you. No, I would say this, but listen, for my son and my daughter and my family, my wife, they understand it. They get, that's how I'm wired, and that's how we operate as a family unit, which is cool. I think the biggest sacrifice for me is the health side, because the health is just start with the basics, where you're not really paying attention to what you're eating, what you're drinking. You're going all out.
Note to Amber, let's show a picture of Brad before he started his recent business.
I had a full head of hair, I had a big
Long, curly
ponytail in the
mane.
back. A lot of people don't realize I had like platinum blonde hair. Like, don't laugh at that. I did. I bet you did too.
Oh, you're right. You did actually.
think
No,
you
I
had
did not. I had
blonde
curly
hair?
hair.
I had
okay.
actually I had brown hair,
Curly red hair.
and then a former, let's just say somebody that years and years and years ago when I was a youngster said that I should dye my hair blonde, and I did it. And I think that had a lot to do with it falling out.
Right.
No,
Bleach.
we put peroxide on. That's what happens. But no, I think that health takes the biggest toll, because you're not thinking about eating. You're not thinking about drinking. You should, but you kind of get into bad habits because it's about just going after it, chasing this, you want the business to be successful. And so you start like I said, certain things start getting sacrificed or compromised. You just start, certain things you don't pay attention to anymore. Like, I'm like, wow, have a couple more cocktails.
Well, and there's 8 centers in Illinois. So although you do travel to Georgia and Colorado to the other centers, people think, well, 8 centers are in Illinois, so you don't really have to travel. For you, when you get out to those centers, you're just in Oak Brook. That's a good hour and a half, 2 hours to get home. And then you're maybe going to have dinner with somebody.
Well, you may have a dinner with somebody. You may have
So that is
drinks with
travel.
somebody. Yeah, true.
Travel is a big one for me. Not a big fan of travel, but sales presentations, you got to get up at 5 a.m. I'm not a morning person at all. drive through snow or go to the airport, your flight's delayed 4 hours, you get to the presentation, the customer doesn't show up or they're like not interested, or events, trade shows are brutal. And when you're starting a business, you got to do all this stuff yourself.
You got to go out. You got to go out and do all that stuff. And so I was just thinking, from the health standpoint, it's like the stress takes a toll because, like Brian was saying, you're all in on these decisions. Every decision weighs on you heavily. And if they're bigger ticket decisions involving any type of, money, financial funding, investor relations, things like that, where it's not going the way it should, or it's kind of going off the rails a little bit, it's like, that's very stressful. I've been in a situation where the businesses I've started, I've had to pledge some, if not all of my assets to fund the businesses. So basically that's gambling. Stressful. You're gambling your entire life and everything that you've worked for.
And your family's life.
And your family's life, family's livelihood, your family's savings. God, would you put it that way? What the hell did I do?
When you think back.
What did I do? I really gambled.
And for those of you new listening, there's a great episode on finances early on. Please go back and check out that episode because I do a deep dive into funding about banking versus angel investing and private investing. So go back in the archives and listen to that episode.
Yeah. And so
you had to pledge assets
personal guarantees, unlimited personal guarantees. I mean, all that stuff, again, to preserve your equity in the business if you want to get certain levels. Now, I'm not saying you have to go do that stuff. I'm saying that how much you want to protect your own equity interest in the business with the intent of it being at the very end of the road, if I turn the reins over to somebody else and I get bought out, or somebody that buys the company, or we do something in a big transaction down the road, I would hope that it pays off. But the reality is to maintain control of the company. Those are decisions you make, to have control of the business, to have the equity control, to be able to make the decisions without having to have multiple people in on those decisions. But your health gets impacted because of the stress. I'll have a story I'll tell.
The stress is a big one, yeah.
The stress is huge. And the things that you don't even consider that impact you are, a lot of people don't even realize like how thin or thick a skin you have to have, because you're making decisions. Now, I'm making decisions related to a company that's got 550 employees. And I can tell you, I always say to Brian, I joke around, what movie is this from? I go, the list is long and distinguished because I always say to Brian, I go, yeah, I had to make a decision the other day where I'm sure that there was a long list of people that probably didn't appreciate that decision. Right. And now all of a sudden I'm, public enemy number one, but I have to do it for the success or survival of the business. But, I'm not callous. I'm not trying to be callous. I love my employees. I love my shareholders. I love everything about by your side.
And if you want these clients to continue getting services, you have to make
somebody's got to make these tough decisions. And at a certain day, a certain point, the buck stops with me. I got to make
talked about it, like you don't really have anybody to talk about it with, unless you're in a peer group, like with other CEOs, because you can't talk to people at your company about the decisions you're making, and your family doesn't really, they're not in the day to day. So you can tell them, but it's like a police officer explaining their day to someone. Like, you just don't understand it unless you're there. The only people who understand are people who are in the same situation, have had to do the same thing, and they're so busy doing their own business, you don't get to just chit chat and share war stories. I mean, again, part of the reason we started this podcast.
It's therapeutic in one way, because I get to share that's how I didn't know you went through that. Yeah, it's like you just get it off your chest, because there's certain things like decisions you have to make. I mean, think about it. You go through whatever business you're in. I think Brian talked about this several podcasts back or a few back, where talked about it's like you always got to be on your game. If you got any employees working for you, they can't know you're having a bad day. They can't know you're having a challenging time at home or something happened in your world. I mean, you've got to be on.
That your pet raccoon and you don't get along.
Your pet squirrel.
Or squirrel, right?
No, it's like you're like, you got to be on. Like, how are you doing? How's things going? You got a big smile on your face. How's things going? You could be just having a wretched day. And I try to do my best to be like, hey, you know what? Tell me about you. Tell me how everything's going. Because at the end of the day, you want your employees happy and you want your employees to feel appreciated. So you can't go around with some sullen look on your face and be upset and frustrated, because that'll resonate. And so that in of itself is stressful, because you're carrying that all day, and if there's not a blackjack table nearby, there's not a band, there's not a gig to play that night, then you don't have too many things that you can forget about and just ditch and go do something.
What takes up more headspace? Not stress, headspace. When there's a challenge and you have to figure out how to solve the challenge, or when things are going well and you're trying to figure out how to capitalize on that or worry about what's going to go wrong. Not stress, headspace. What takes up more headspace?
You were here for a reason. This is another great question, Matt.
This guy's good. Matt's good at what he...
You guys are interesting, so it's easy.
I would say if there's a problem, there's usually clarity. It's a little easier to compartmentalize and deal with it. If you're just talking about how do we grow the business, it's just this like open topic where you don't have to make a decision today. There's no urgency. It's just, I want to do this. So I think that, to me, that takes up more headspace, because it's amorphous. You can think about it 24 hours a day. Hey, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this better? How are we going to grow? At least that's where my head usually is. How are we going to do more, better, faster? Problems are finite. It's like, I'm going to solve this problem. 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, whatever, done, and it'll be finished. Everything else it's strategy and direction and vision and changing and adopting and being flexible. To me, that takes up all the headspace. And the other thing I'd add about stress is I've noticed, when things are really good or really bad, you get wound up pretty tight and you don't notice it. The people around you notice, like, dude, you got to slow down. Dude, you got to take a break. Dude, you got to, but you can't, because you've set yourself, things in motion remain in motion. And if you're moving quickly and you're knocking out problems or you're knocking out opportunities, you just get in this rhythm that is very hard to stop, at least mentally,
Well, I think you also, as a business owner, a business leader, CEO, the other thing is that you set the pace. So I'm sure people that directly report into me versus people that are 2 layers down, a few layers down, whatever, I will tell my team, like, guys, I'm going to be running full speed,
yeah.
relentless, 100 miles an hour, and I'm not stopping. So play that speed, and we'll be fine. Because think about it. If you go 50%, it's just like anything. It's going to gradually just start. It's like, if you go 50%, the next layer down is going to go 40%, 20%. And then by the time where the tire meets the road, you don't get the activity, the output, the production, the efficiencies that you want. So you have to be moving, running and gunning 100 miles an hour if you want your business to succeed. You could do it another way if you want. You can go slower. You can spend less time. You could say, hey, that's great that Brad and Brian do that. And I can't picture myself. I gotta carve more time out for myself, and I can do it. That's fine. Your business is going to take a lot longer to develop. It's probably not going to be as successful as it can be. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We're just saying that, but if you go one speed, which is full speed, you have a lot better chance of succeeding faster and being more successful than what you originally would have thought. If that makes sense. So I do think that, I think through about some of the decisions you make along the way, and whether you can't look at them whether they're popular or unpopular. I say things and make decisions that our employees and in different businesses too, that would be like, I don't agree with that. And like, here's why we did it. Here's the background on it. By the way, that's the decision we made. Be definitive, move forward. You can't be waffling on your decisions. Once you make it, move forward,
Very similar to being a parent sometimes. How many times would you just love to be a friend with your child and be like, I don't want to upset anything. But you're like, I have to hold the line. I've got to hold the line for the sake of their future. And this is how you're going to be mad at me. And that's my role as a parent.
Yep. Don't pick favorites. You're probably wondering, Matt, after all this, like, okay, why would anybody actually start their own business?
Well, so yeah, why?
Yeah, wow. What a horrific.
What the? Thanks for convincing me not to do this.
Well, I think
Although it's go ahead.
it's good. You got to be realistic though. When you're going into it, it's like I think the biggest thing that we wanted to convey in these podcasts too is like we want to just give everybody the reality of what you're going to do with it. It doesn't mean don't do it. It just means just be prepared.
You need to
for
know
that.
these.
These are the things that you'll
Eyes wide
experience.
open.
Yeah.
And
Not the James Bond film.
and it's not just running or starting your own business. It could be
back to
made.
that.
All right. What?
Wait,
Sorry, I can't help
Eyes
myself.
Wide Open is not James Bond.
It's not?
Isn't that's Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise?
Oh, no.
That's
really
Eyes Wide
embarrassed.
Shut.
I think
All right,
Brian
we'll
was
do-
referring to Brokeback Mountain. He wanted to watch.
We'll have our research department look into this.
Amber,
Sorry, folks.
Amber, can you Google Eyes Wide Open as a James Bond?
Eyes
I
Wide
think there's
Open.
Eyes Wide Shut.
That might be.
That's
that
a
could be.
Stanley
That's Nicole
Kubrick.
Kidman, isn't it?
Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise.
We shouldn't have interrupted Brad. Sorry.
Yeah, for that. Hey,
It's not that we interrupted him.
there's my brother.
But I heard him. I can't let that go. And he goes, "I'm wide open." And he goes, "James Bond
You
movie."
see the
I'm like,
mental
I don't-
problems that the business has caused?
It could be a James Bond movie, and then I got to eat crow. So you could be right.
You know, I do want to share a story where I was, where you're dealing with the stress, you're dealing with the things that are building up in the business, and like what Brian said, you feel alone. You're like, who do I share this with? Whatever. I mean, I remember one night when we were going through this really challenging financial situation where we just seemed like we had very limited options, very few options, and very just unsettling time. Completely stressed out, couldn't sleep. This was beyond living it, breathing it, sleeping it. This was like, okay, I cannot sleep now. The stress of it was overwhelming. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. You see other members in your family all comfortably asleep, and you're like 1, 2 in the morning, and you're wide awake. And I shouldn't have had those 4 Red Bulls. No, but I'm up. I'm up in the middle of the night, can't sleep because of stress, and I just. I would say that I'm not a very spiritual person, but I think this night was actually a really interesting night because I couldn't sleep for literally like weeks in a row. And it was like a late January night or February a few years ago, and very stressful situation financially, post-COVID, difficult decisions to make. And I went out in my car and I went driving around the neighborhood at like 2 in the morning, maybe 1:45, 2 in the morning. I'm just driving around. I got the music cranking, and freezing night, car still freezing. You'd see your breath in the car and everything. You picture that. So I'm driving around, and I pull in this parking lot, and I'm just like, I didn't have a path forward what I was going to do. And I'm thinking like, who can I talk to about this? And stressed out and everything. And just thinking about my health. I'm like, this is just not good. And I pulled in this parking lot. It turns out it's a church parking lot. And I've got the phone down on the console, and I'm listening to music and everything like that. And I'm just zoned in, kind of like we were talking earlier about. You're just so zoned in on what you're doing. Like you could be at a dinner table and someone's talking, but you're thinking about something else. I'm just zeroed in thinking in my lap. Like I cannot, like stressed, can't sleep, trying to think through things. And I'm just sitting there. I just said, God, I really need help. I just got to think through this. And at that moment, I turned the radio off for probably just a couple minutes, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, God, I just really need some help. And I looked up, and it was 2:22 a.m. And I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, well, that's unusual. That's weird. But at that point in time, I don't know what it was. I just was sitting there. I was just completely at peace. I was like, this is all going to work out. Mm-hmm. I think, you know what? That's what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then I'm going to talk to this person. It was clarity. It was literally clarity, right? And again, I'm not a very religious person, but I do think something happened because I drove home then, and I was kind of excited to say, God, I don't know what 222 means. I got to go check. So hopefully we'll put that up. I'm going to put the definition up. I think I sent it to you guys, but it was basically your angels hear you, and you're going to be okay.
Wow.
And that everything, the world is going to align. It's like the chi, the energy of everything is going to flow in the right direction, and things are going to be good. And it was amazing how completely went from totally stressed out, couldn't sleep, to all of a sudden having perfect understanding, clarification, clarity of what was going to happen. I knew what I was going to do the next day. I pulled my car into the garage. I shut everything off. I checked my phone to see what it meant. I was like, my God, that is so cool. I went right to bed, fell asleep instantly. And I figured it out the next morning, and it was great. And I don't know what it was, but I do have a good thought that it was God looking down. But things will be okay. But you will at different times in your career, you're gonna have to deal with this overwhelming sense of like responsibility and like, how do I get through it? And you get through it.
There's not a clear path.
That's a great story.
I gotta share. That's funny because I want to turn it into a religious show, but I've had a bunch of moments where I'm like, okay, what was that? Mm-hmm. Mine's not nearly as dramatic, but I was driving to work one day talking to our mother, and it was one of those weeks where it was like 9 out of 10 on a scale of 10 bad. Like things were really, really bad for the business. And, you know, of course, with your mother, you never say that. Mm-hmm. So it was more like a 2. Things are bad.
A broken femur from Ryan Regan on the pain chart.
That's Ryan Regan.
Yeah,
I love Ryan Regan.
She goes, how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the worst? Well, you know, saying a low number isn't going to help you. Oh, I'm a 2. Maybe the high 1s. And you could give me a baby aspirin and cut it in half. And maybe a Flintstone vitamin and I'll be out of your hair. You can go 10 to all the 3s and 4s and such. If anyone's saying such ridiculous numbers. I couldn't bring myself to say 10, though, because I had heard the worst pain a human can endure is getting the femur bone cracked in half. And I don't know if that's true, but I thought if it is, they have exclusive rights to 10. And now I'm thinking, what was I worried about? Is there like a femur ward at the hospital? They would have heard about me and hobble into my room. Who the hell had the audacity?
But, you know, and I'm thinking, you know, Mom, she doesn't need to know about my problems in the business and stuff like that. I'll just tell her a little bit about the problem. And she said, that's what you wanted. I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, when you quit that amazing job you had to start this company, you
Thanks
said
for that pep talk.
You were bored. You needed more of a challenge. You wanted more of a challenge. I'm like, shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, and it changed.
I can't wait to be stressed.
Wow.
Let's do this.
It changed the whole mental attitude. You know, I wasn't expecting it. It was out of the clear blue, and it didn't solve the problem, but to
it clicked.
to your
Something
point,
made
something
sense to you.
clicked and changed my perspective and gave me some clarity. Like, yeah, you're right. This is what I do. Solve problems. I get through shit. You know.
But why, all right, so why do it then? I mean, if it's like, why would we do this? Guys?
Although that's a bit of an insight. This is you craved it. So I mean, it's kind of DNA.
Something you asked
about.
for. You said, "Hey, I want this. This is
Right,
what I want
yeah.
to do."
Something you
I
use.
know that that with that comes the ups and downs. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, the higher the highs, the lower the lows. Like, you know, you can't experience great highs if you don't know what the lows feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's listen. I mean, at the end of the day, so we talked about these things that could impact the sacrifices you make and the compromises you make and all that. I mean, you would think that it's pretty self-evident why you do these things, but I mean, the independence of running your own show. I think the idea too is that there's a tremendous amount of satisfaction if you could take something from scratch, something from the very, from the genesis and just build it up, right? And you take something to the point where, for me, it was, wow, I've created a business that actually helps a community of people that needs help. But more importantly, it was like, I love the idea that our company has been able to currently employ 550 American citizens. Like that's like, I take a lot of pride in that. Like there's 550 employees that actually look to our company as a livelihood to pay their bills and all that. So I think a lot of
and they're getting to fulfill kind of their passion and purpose in life.
Yes, they're working with children in a special community, driving a tremendous impact, changing the lives of not only the kiddos but the families, and then at the same time, we've created these jobs for people to have a livelihood. I mean, that's like very, very fulfilling. That's like very personally satisfying and rewarding. So,
but it's become that. That's not why you started it in the first place, right? I mean, you didn't. It wasn't the driving vision.
Yeah,
I mean,
that wasn't. Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, but that's why I'm saying that's why I keep doing it. That's the driver. But they have control. You know, the very get go. Why do you do it in the very get go? Well, you're the independence, the control. I mean, I'm very passionate about what I do. So I'm very competitive at what I do. So I like to be able to say I did that, especially when someone says, "You sure you're going to be able to do that?" I love that. When someone says, you know, should you buy that property? Can you afford to buy that property in the real estate investment side? Can you do this? I don't think you can do that. I love when people say that to me. The rewards of it are different for different people. So whether you're doing it for, you know, the independence, whether you're doing it for money, whether you're doing it for fame, whatever you're doing it for, it's different for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's something people need to understand is everybody thinks, oh, you're doing it for the money. And that's not always the case.
No.
A lot of people start businesses because they're passionate about that particular thing. I think that's what a lot of people thought about me in the early days. Oh, he's really passionate about, you know, real estate or video. And I've mentioned to you, I didn't know anything about either one of them. I was more passionate about doing something new that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
That was the thing for me that got me interested. The independence helped, you know, the kind of freedom to test your own ideas and see if they could be successful or not. I know people laugh, but I never really did it for the money.
No, me neither. Mine was more thrill to kill. I want to do something that I've never done. I can do it. I came, I saw, I conquered. Like that's cool for me. And oh, by the way, if there's money that comes with it, great. That's bonus, kind of like that's like a byproduct of it. It's like, it's an afterthought. It was never about the money for me all along. So
there's always a risk you could lose that money. So it's not to say,
you can lose money. I've had businesses that have lost money. I mean,
right.
where you lose the money and it's just like, oh, well, you know, like for example, we could maybe one of the next podcasts we can talk about, I looked back, I actually found some of my old books on GN Enterprises. So GN Enterprises was the company that was founded to produce the theater troupe and to executive produce a comedy theater troupe. This is Matt's background, and produce this 3-man comedy troupe. We could talk to it more in the next episode, but produce them in Chicago, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and London. And we would pay for it and produce the whole thing. We'd sell product at the shows. It was on gate receipts, you know, and it was all comedy shows. And at the end of the day, the company lost money, but not enough money in which that I said, well, that was a fantastic experience. I would do it all over again. So, you know, so I think the reasons you do things are different for each potential episode. Or company, I should say. Well,
and it's important for the company investors and such to understand the motivations of the founder, because it does work its way into the business. You know, if they're only in it because they're really passionate, someone's got to keep an eye on the checkbook.
Yeah.
You know, vice versa. We talked about that. If you're a subject matter expert in one thing, you know, hire people to pick up the other things. Because generally people are going to stick to where they get the most satisfaction, reward, fulfillment. Like I've considered myself a marketing guy. That's where I spent most of my time in the business. Other things, you know, like finance and legal aggravated me. So get someone else who enjoys that.
That's going to be a topic.
Are you
things that getting aggravated?
Yeah. No, things that aggravate legal. I love to talk legal.
It's my list of things.
Are you both past the point of working for a boss? You're both successful CEOs. Are you past the point that you could ever work now for a boss?
That's a great question. I mean, Brian works for me in this company. I'm the CEO of CEO Bros. It's time for me to exit. No, sit down. What? You should probably hear this. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Brian's the chief operating officer.
Reporting
to the
I
CEO.
think Tucker for the Cubs is really going to have a great year.
Remember what I said about this?
Yeah, no,
Remember what I said about this, man? I told you it would come up at some point. Just placate him and let it go.
The ongoing.
Why don't we turn it into a contest? Please put in the chat who should be the CEO,
Yeah, no,
Brad or
that's a-
Brian?
yeah,
Arm
no.
wrestling
The
contest.
ongoing-
Let's
the
go right
ongoing
here on this
debate.
table. Come on.
No, it's fun. It's fun. That's a great question. I once you've kind of once you've been kind of in charge and been, top dog at the company to run it, can you fall back into a position of, or move into a role where you're, taking direction from others? And the point is, yeah, you could. If the company is going in the right direction, like if by your side had a bigger vision of we came together with another company or something and we were working towards a bigger goal. Absolutely.
But I want to break
100%.
I want to break that out because I could see that because that was your company you built.
Yeah.
Let's just say, you sold by your side, what have you. You go to work for a brand new company that you had no startup at all. Could you work for someone else?
Oh yeah, I think that depending on the reasons why, absolutely, because you have to, like Brian was mentioning earlier, you got to compartmentalize why you would be doing what you're doing. But there's a lot of good reasons why I might have to.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have to do something,
True.
you can't just be like, well, I'm never going to do that. You have to. I mean, there's preferences I have, and then there's necessities. And I think the reality is that I evaluate each one, and I never say never, because you don't really know at the end of the day what you may or may not have to do. So I would hate to sit here and say, no, I would never do that.
You could.
Yeah. So I think the short answer is, yeah, I could.
Yeah. And same answer?
Yeah, I've never needed to be the chief. There's a lot of times I didn't enjoy it and would prefer not to. We actually brought someone else in to run the company for 5 years, and it was probably the best 5 years of my career at VHT because I didn't have some of the responsibilities that I didn't enjoy. The cash flow wasn't my problem for a couple of years. The hiring and firing wasn't my problem. I got to focus on my passion, which was trying new things and seeing if they worked. I didn't have to deal with the legal and the finance. So that was cool because I got the best of both
So the
worlds.
satisfaction outweighed the sacrifice in those 5 years.
Oh, big time. Yeah. If
It's
Alex,
taxing. I mean, it's taxing to such a degree that it's almost like, yeah, I'm more than happy to take a back seat.
take a back seat if you're going to do this. Well,
I can provide some great contributions, some great feedback, and great work ethic to this, what we're trying to accomplish here. But there's nothing wrong with taking a back seat to others that are either more qualified, more excited, more ambitious at that time, and be like, I'm going to do what I can to help this company grow. Right. So
I play on 2 softball teams. One of them I run, one of them I just play on. The one I play on is great because I can just show up and concentrate on playing.
Yeah.
The other one, it's like, do we got enough players? And I got to put people in the right positions. It's like, I don't enjoy that stuff. I do it because I want to play softball, but
Those answers actually surprised me a little bit. I didn't think they were going to be both yeses, but then I guess I'm not surprised because
maybe you should be CEO.
Maybe
CEO
I should.
Bros. That's where he's going with
put it in the
this.
chat.
that's where he's taking this.
But I'm not surprised.
AREX could be the
AREX could be
CEO of this
CEO.
thing too.
Listen.
AREX, you want that responsibility? It's
We've
all
went
yours.
from fighting over it to nobody
Or if
wants
anyone
it.
wants to be CEO,
Yeah.
just put it. The first 10 comments we will.
CEO brothers and people.
But I'm also not surprised because maybe that's why you're both successful. It's the attitude of whatever needs to be done,
Yes.
right? I mean, that's kind of the
Yes.
mindset anyway. What you're saying is, I cannot be CEO. Whatever needs to be done.
Yes,
Yeah, and you
all in.
understand-
Whatever needs to be done to bring something to something bigger, greater, more successful. That I'm all in for that.
Yeah. And I think it helps to have a realistic understanding of where you add value and where you don't. Like, what are the things that I'm good at, I'm passionate about, I can drive results, and what are the things that, maybe I think I am, but I'm not really. Because there's some easy ones, like, okay, legal and finance, don't like that. But there's other things where I think, I'm pretty good at this. And I've had to admit at times other people are better. And then there's certain things where there's like, nobody's better than me at this. This is my sweet spot.
It's my
This is where
wheelhouse.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
spend my
you're
time.
in my sandbox, and I think I probably bring the most benefit within this realm world. So, yeah, no, that's interesting. That's a good question, though, Matt. I'd say, yeah. And you had us, Brian and I, pegged right, which is that it's all about we will serve in whatever capacity is necessary to take something from where it's at to much better, greater, successful outcomes. So
I think you'll see that in successful founders, because there are some people who need to control everything, and I think that in and of itself kind of restrains their growth and their ability to get big. It's the people, we talked about this in a previous episode. It's people who are willing to wear all hats and set an example for the rest of the team that are going to be the most successful.
The chapter I want in your book that you said, pick up a broom.
Pick up a broom, right?
yeah, you have to do whatever it takes, and check your ego at the door, check your position title at the door. That's why it's kind
I
of
hated
interesting.
titles.
It's interesting.
Titles.
It's funny because way in our prior lives, which will be another discussion at some point, is that there's several of us that said nobody should put any titles on any business cards. It's just, you want to talk to Brad. That's it.
Yeah.
And I can talk to anybody in the company you need to get answers from, but you have to do what's necessary to get the job done, no matter what.
It's funny you bring that up, because in meetings, when there's a group of our team and a group of someone else's team introducing themselves, everybody always uses their title. I just say what I do. I say, you know what, I handle the marketing, or I do business development, or whatever's relevant at the time. But I don't say, oh, I'm the CEO, I'm the vice president of this or that. I just say, here's what I do. Here's what I'm bringing to this meeting. Because I've always. But I've never liked titles, and I've never liked, as long as I'm on a rant, I've never liked.
Because you're waiting for that opportunity. Well, it's like, who's the CEO here? Because I'm looking to sue. I'm looking to sue. I want to sue the CEO. Who is it? It's not me.
I don't know. He's an idiot, whoever he
I
is.
also find that interesting, because every time we see him for these, he's like, "Hi, CEO of
I'm the
CEO
CEO
Bros."
of
Right?
CEO Bros.
First of all, it's us three.
Just stop. I mean,
So in that sense, you're always telling us the CEO.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
No, you're going to say, did you have an antidote? You're going to say, do you remember? We cut you off for that.
man.
You were going
No,
to say
but-
that you don't introduce yourself at meetings. You say what you do.
What I do. Oh, the second part, the rant was one of the old man rants is, I hate when people say, oh, marketing said they can't do this. And I'm like, who? Marketing? Who? Sally, Tom, Jim? Like, you're making it sound like there's a person that said, no, we can't do this, or that is delaying or something. I don't know how that, anytime that ever happened, I'm like, don't tell me marketing can't do it.
It's out of our
or
hands.
sales can't do
Marketing.
it.
So, what can we
marketing.
do?
It's like,
Hands are tied. Marketing.
it's a person is responsible for doing that task, or accountable for that result, not.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So I would just say that this is more. I don't want anybody to take the wrong impression from me. This is more like just setting expectations.
Absolutely.
For what's out there,
Yes.
like what you're going to experience. Do it for the right reasons. Your reasons are going to be different than other people's reasons. And whether we shouldn't just talk to the entrepreneurs out there. If you're a department head, you want to aspire to the next level of department, you want to start your business, you want to grow within your role. There's different reasons everybody does things. Just realize that in order to get to where you want, there's going to be different sacrifices and compromises you're going to make. And Brian and I just want to set that tone for, these are some of the things we experienced and what we went through, and you should expect to go through them as well.
Great stuff. Great stories. And we do have to get clarification. Amber, Eyes Wide Open. Is it a James Bond movie?
I think the movie you're thinking of is For Your Eyes Only.
Oh, I'll give you that.
Oh,
I'll give you
yeah,
that.
man.
I'll give you that.
Sharp.
Name the
That's
Bond.
good
Do you have
stuff.
that? Which
No.
Bond do you think that is?
No, I don't know.
That's
that.
probably Sean Connery, you think?
I'm thinking
All right.
Roger Moore.
Well, Roger Moore. All right. Well, we'll
That's
figure
good.
that out.
That'll come up in an Amber's angle at some.
So you hear me say a
point.
lot. Put something in the chat. We joke about it, but seriously, on YouTube, we love to hear comments. We love to hear feedback.
More than happy to help with any
More than happy to
questions.
help.
All
So-
three of us will respond.
All three of us will respond.
I
all
don't
with
know.
three
I
different
can't
answers.
commit- I can't commit to that.
So thanks for joining us. More to talk about. Until next time.
Yeah. Episode
Have a great weekend.
9.
Episode 9 here. Now it's milestone next time. 10.
10
Is
will
10 a
be a
milestone?
milestone.
Sure, why
Yeah,
not?
of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Take care. See ya.